Hey, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? How are you guys doing today? Hey, this is Gregory Wiles coming live to you from Houston, Texas, with this inspirational morning walk. For first-time listeners, I just get some exercise in the mornings and I share my thoughts with you guys. What I'm inspired to talk about that day, I will share with you guys. How is everyone doing today? It's a beautiful day here in Houston, Texas. Good morning, Cuz. Good morning, Tessa. Good morning. How are you doing? It's a beautiful day in Houston, Texas. Like I said, it's starting to cool down. So these mornings is nice and cool and it's not so sticky this early. Mr. Oswin Smith, good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? How are you doing, man? Yes, I'm going to enjoy my walk in here. You see those nice blue skies back there? Nice blue skies, a little bit of sun. I'm going to enjoy my walk in this morning, man. All right, so I got a question this morning, and I'm going to try and see if we find some answers to this question that I have this morning. What I want to deal with today is, how do we give to God? How do we give to God? How do I give something to God, right? How do I give something to God? Let's say I got $20 right now, and I want to give it to God. How do I give something to the Lord? How do I give something to the Lord? And we can try and see if we go in some scriptures. Man, look at the sky back there, man. Oh, it's so beautiful. How do I give something to God, right? So let's dive into the scriptures and see if we could answer the question. Because I know, do I put it in an envelope? Like I said, I got this $20. I want to give it to God. Good morning, Jillian. Good morning. How are you? Do I just put it in an envelope and address it to God and throw it in the post, put on, I don't know how much of a value stamp I need to put on there, address it to heaven and send it, put it in the post and it's going to reach him? Do I just go and throw it into church and it's going to get to God? How do I give something to God? So let's go into the scriptures and see if we could answer this question. How do I give something to God? It starts with Proverbs 19:17. Proverbs 19:17 says, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done. Okay, God, you're saying if I kind to the poor, I'm lending to you. How that is? And he will reward them for what they've done. So he's saying if I kind to the poor, I'm lending to him. Still, it's not all that clear yet. It's not all that clear. If I give to the poor, I'm lending to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they've done. I need some little more explanation there, God. I need a little bit more explanation on that one. It's still not clear. Why, when I give to the poor, I'm lending to you? You're confusing me there. Okay, let's go on. Proverbs 28:27. Let's see if we can answer this question a little clearer. Those who give to the poor will lack nothing, but those who close their eyes to them receive many curses. Again, those who give to the poor lack nothing, but those who close their eyes to them receive many curses. I understand what you're saying. I understand it. I get it. Giving to the poor is, but why they gonna lack nothing, and why they gonna receive many curses if they close the eyes to the poor? I still need some more explanation, man. I don't know about you guys, but I need some more explanation there. It's still not clear. I still don't understand. Why, when I give to the poor, I lack nothing? Why, when let me go. Let's go down and do some more forensic science here and see if we could get an answer to this question. Let's go to Matthew 25:31-39, and see if we got some answers here. Matthew 25:31-39. He's talking about when he separated the sheep and the goats, right? So when the Son of Man come in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, remember he put the sheep on the right, right? Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. So he separated people by the sheep and the goat. I mean, the people who are going to heaven and the people who are not. So the people who are going to heaven, he call them the sheep. They're on the right side, and there's the people who he's talking to, right? He tell them, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you give me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you give me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invite me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you look after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. So he's telling these people, you did all of these things to me, so, God can reward you for them, right? Take your place. Right? But these people was like, okay, the people on the right who we give all of this to and tell them, they said, okay, God, I appreciate that. That's good and I'll fine. But when you were hungry and I feed you? When were you thirsty and we give you something to drink? I mean, we taking the prayers that you give us and we're thankful for it because you're taking care of us. But we want to know, when did we do this for you? Because I never see God and I never see, and I never give you anything personally. So I want to understand this, just like me right now. I want to understand when I give this stuff to you. At what point I give something to you, because I can't remember never giving nothing to you, God. So just explain it to me further. So then the righteous will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? When did we do all of these things, God? Because I never do none of them for you. And the king will say, I tell you the truth. When you did it to one of the least of my brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me. Okay. This now makes sense. So you telling me, God, when I do this for somebody that is less fortunate, I'm doing it to you? Now this making sense. Now let's go back in Proverbs 19:17 and see what he's saying here. With this knowledge, he said if we do it for the less fortunate, we're doing it to him. So let's go back and read Proverbs 19:17 and see if it makes some sense now. Like in math, when you solve for the unknown, then you're going to plug it back in and see if your answer is correct. So let's try that and see. So now that we know if we give to the less fortunate, we give to the poor, we give to God. So let's plug it in back in here now. Proverbs 19:17. Whoever is kind to God lends to God, right? So the poor is whoever's kind to the poor lends to God. But let's plug in the unknown. We find who the poor is. He said if you're doing it for the less fortunate, you're doing it for the poor, you're doing it to him. So this makes sense now. Whoever's kind to God, lending to God, right? So if you lend me something, it's my responsibility to repay you, right? And he will reward you for what you have done. So he's saying, if you give to the poor, you're giving it to me, and I'm going to repay you. But the point what I want to get to, the world is trying to tell us, right? Only give people things to people that can help you, right? What are you giving to the poor man for? He can't give you nothing. What he can do for you? Make your investment and give it to somebody who could give you something. But God's saying, no, God's saying it's okay. Well, if you give it to them, it's not that person that's going to repay you. I'm going to repay you because you're doing it for me. When you give to the poor, you give to the less fortunate, you're giving to me, and I'm going to repay you, not that person. Right? So if you go with the understanding with the world trying to tell you, don't give to people who cannot help you, right? God's saying that's where you're making a mistake, because that's when you're shutting me out. And that's why now let's go with the same understanding in Proverbs 28:27 and see if it makes more sense. He said, those who give to the poor will lack nothing. So God's saying, if you give to me, giving to the poor is given to me, and you will lack nothing because I'm the creator. All of this is mine. So if you give in to me, you ain't gonna lack nothing. I'm gonna be nice to you. But here we said, but those who close their eyes to them receive many curses. So if you close your eyes to the poor, you're closing your eyes to me. You're shunning me, the creator of the world. And you think I'm gonna give you anything? I'm gonna put curses on you because I give you like your mother and your father to taking care of you, and then you turn around and you don't want to help them when they need help, right? And they take care of you. So he's saying, man, that's not going to be good on your part. So let's go on to some other scriptures with this understanding and see how much sense it makes. Let's look at Proverbs 22:16. It said, one who oppresses the poor to increase his wealth, and one who gives gifts to the rich, both come to poverty. Let's read that again. This is serious. One who oppresses the poor, putting the poor there as God, right? God said, when you're doing it for the less fortunate, doing it for the poor, you're doing it to me. So let's read it with that understanding. Let's take out poor and put in God in there. One who oppresses God to increase his wealth, and one who gives gifts to the rich, both come to poverty. You see how it's starting to make sense now, right? When you're oppressing the poor, God says you're oppressing me. If you're oppressing me, trying to rob me to get wealthy, bro, you're trying to rob me who got everything. This whole universe belongs to me. You're trying to rob me to get my money, right? And one who gives gifts to the rich, right? So you see, I'm giving gifts to the rich, guys. That's why when the world teaching you, only give to people who can help you. Give to people that got something to give you back. You give your money to all these people who can't do nothing for you. God said, you're doing it for me, bro. But you want to give to people that can help you. So he's saying you giving to the rich who don't need it, but you bypassing. It's nothing wrong you giving to somebody who got something. But he's saying you don't bypass all of these people with needs. People who need the help, the resources that I bless you with, they need it. But you bypassing them saying they can't do nothing for me if I give it to them, and you're going to give a rich man who can take care of himself, who don't really need what you're giving him, because he got an abundance already. He got an abundance already, but you tell him, if I give it to him, he could give back to me. And God said, no, that's not what works. I can bring you to poverty. Let's read that again. Those who oppress the poor. Man, and I see these payday loans. This thing used to always bother me. Man, these interest is so ridiculous. It's like about 100%, 50 or 75% interest you paying. And who's the people who need this the most? People who barely working check to check. And they're going and get this little payday loan card a little short, and they never could finish repaying it. So and that's the next scripture who talk about unjust gains. Let's go on and see. Proverbs 28:8. We're going to wrap up in one more and then we wrap up. Proverbs 28:8. Whoever increases wealth by taking interest to profit from the poor amasses it for another who will be kind to the poor. So he's saying if you robbing people to get rich, if you're robbing the poor man to get rich, he said you're storing up the wealth. You're going to get wealthy. Yes, you're going to get wealthy. You're going to allow you to get wealthy. But what you're doing, you're storing up the wealth for someone who can be kind to the poor. So you're going to amass all of this money. You're going to gone and left it. And somebody who's kind to the poor, God can say, hey, you're going to inherit this money because I know you're going to distribute it. You can give it back to me. You give it to the poor, right? Let's look at one more. Proverbs 21:13, and we can wrap up right here. Proverbs 21:13. Those who shut their eyes to the cries of the poor will be ignored in their own time of need, right? So let's put in God in there where it says poor. Those who shut their eyes to the cries of God will be ignored in their time of need. But that go without saying, because you're shutting your eyes to him. He created everything. So when you close your eyes to him and say, God, I'm not giving you nothing, he can say, okay, when you come back to me for asking for something, no, I'm not going to give you nothing. Because you were shutting your eyes to me when you shut your eyes to the poor. So don't come and ask me for nothing now when I was asking you for something, you couldn't give it to me. So let's read that again. Those who shut their eyes to the poor, let's replace poor with God. Those who shut their eyes to the cries of God will be ignored in their time of need. Guys, I can leave that there. So that we answer the question, how do we give something to God? He said, if you do it, let me read, and the king will say, I tell you the truth, when you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me. So you want to give something to God. Help people that are less fortunate. Help the poor. Help people that are less fortunate. And that's when you're giving directly to God. And when you need something, and you in your time of need, he will gladly repay you for that, man. So I'm going to leave that there, guys. And the poor is not only people on the street and all that. No. You're people who in time of need, man. Your neighbor might got a need. Your cousin, your little family, somebody, people, struggling. You help them out. Somebody might hit some hard time. Help people. That's what it's saying. You don't only got to give the man on the street. That's one part of the poor, yes. But they got people who got houses, people who got a job, and they're still sleeping in the car. You may not know it. It's need all around. You just have to help people who is in need, right, man? So, guys, I'm going to leave that there, but I think we get the message. If you want to give something to God, help somebody that's less fortunate. And he said he is going to lend into him, and he's going to repay you, not that person. That person don't have to repay you, but he's responsible for repaying you, because when you give it to the poor, you're lending him. All right, guys. So Jennifer, thanks for watching. Catherine Diane Clark Thompson, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for watching, Auntie. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday. Have a great day. Okay, bye.